So I already have a piece of sandpaper, which I made last week with sort of the color on it. So I'll be using that, but because I don't like waiting for it to dry. It usually takes a little bit. So as usual, I'm just gonna take colors, not really even looking. Spread them all over. Doesn't matter if they make, mix and make ugly colors or whether they're pretty, it doesn't really matter. The purpose of this layer is just simply to add some color so that we're not working on this kind of plain light colored surface. Mine doesn't happen to be white. It happens to be, I don't know, this kind of weird cream. You can see. And then either with rubbing alcohol in a brush, Gamsol in a brush, or let's see, this spray fix, I'm going to spray it. And then it'll dry. So if you haven't done that for this, it'll take a few minutes. So, but that's all right. I'll be demoing. I'll be working off this one. I'm going to go let this one dry and we'll use that for next week. Hi, Bettina.
Hi. So when you do that, Lee, I noticed you don't rub it in or you just kind of put it on the paper and go, yeah?
Yep, just put it on the paper and go. It's the easiest, most fun part of the experience, right? Because it doesn't matter. As long as there's color, something, it will support the things that are on top. I did also notice, and here is our subject in black and white. Here's our subject in color. Isn't that pretty? Just loved the warmth of these colors. Wait, who just popped in? Hold on. Hi, Julia. She's like working on her thing. Hi, Julia. I love this. You know, originally I selected this for a watercolor, and it's even possible we did it, but I think for a pastel, the colors are just beautiful. Of course, we know you don't have to stick with those colors, but, and you can see the contrast very nicely in this black and white version. We're gonna be talking a bit about what people will find intimidating about feathers and texture like this is feeling like you have to do every single piece, a little bit like you might have to do every single hair or every single piece of fur. And so I'm going to be really talking about transitions today. You don't actually have to do every piece. The key is you're going to be doing where light areas meet dark areas, right? This is where we pay attention mostly to sort of detailed transitions where you might have a little light, a little medium, a little dark. The edge might be soft or the edge might be hard. So it becomes less intimidating as we go along. I was trying to decide if I want to use a marker for this, but I don't think I do. I think I'm just going to work with pastel today, like our bunny last week. And let's see here. So I don't feel like measuring right now with a ruler. I'm going to roll. I'm going to fold this over twice. It's kind of the quick and dirty way to create your source, you know, to grid your source. We're only going to do 2 grid lines. Oops, not any. Here we go. As usual, it's going to be a challenge to figure out which color I use. Wait, where are all my rulers? I put some. Ah, here we go. Which color am I going to use to draw the grid so you guys can see it? I'll take a picture. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. So all that shouting was unnecessary. I just discovered that you can probably hear it. My voice is pretty feeble right now.
Yeah.
It's basically been going out every day for the last 3 months. And it's quite simply because I've been using it a lot. I use it to teach. I use it at Starbucks. I'm talking like most teachers, like, 6 hours a day. So I'm working really, what my boyfriend came in and told me that I was yelling at the computer screen when I was teaching you guys. He's like, you're yelling really loud, which I realize is just one of those weird old people things that one does when you think the technology doesn't get you. So I'm
weird
gonna try
old person.
speaking a little bit quieter. I'm gonna be speaking a little bit quieter today. I'll tell you, the students in the other classes are like, this is fantastic. It's very soothing. Because one of the things that causes me to shout is when I get excited, like, which isn't a bad thing, but it's just like, nope, doesn't really work in the scheme of things, isn't really helpful. What I'm doing here, of course, is finding the quarter points, which I'm marking but not drawing into the grid. You might be wondering how I'm doing this, and I'm going all the way down here, even though the picture stops here. I'm going all the way down to the edge here to mark my quarter and my half points. 1, 2. So one of the things that we see immediately, let's see, is that, I'll do a quarter in a brighter color. This quarter point here helps us see where the eye is. These quarter points kind of help us us see the body, right? See where the body is. So as we start to sketch out, and I would pick a very light color, maybe like a tan. Also, I'm including in this little thing he's standing on. As you're doing your first lines, let me send this over. And you guys might be still working on I'm aware that you guys are still working on might be still working on setting up your paper, unless you're working on newsprint or pastel paper.
Just went dark on us.
Yes, because I'm taking a picture.
Oh.
And I don't like to make you dizzy with looking at me taking a picture. There we go.
Sunny, leave me alone.
And then here. Zoom.
No, what?
So notice those as you're marking those out. So I'm going to do the same thing here, but with my pastel. Here I might use my ruler. So I start. Fucking listening to Sandra like talk to her cats is great, isn't it? It's really fun. I'm going to use this kind of soft pastel, kind of orangey pastel. It's kind of right here. You are welcome to use what you like. I would not recommend using anything too dark because this subject has a lot of light. And let's see, this is 13, so half of 13.
Doesn't have a likeness yet.
What?
It doesn't have a likeness yet. I'm teasing.
Oh, like, sorry. I'm like,
Because I'm
what?
just finally being able to sit
Oh,
down.
that's so funny. We were just giggling listening to you talk to your cats.
Oh,
Wow. They were like, what? 11 and
it
20.
can be very high maintenance.
So I told Sunny that we were painting today. We haven't been painting for a few days. So
Excited?
Yeah, she ran into the room and waited for me here.
Oh, that's so cute. Half, 11 and a half. What are you talking about? This looks exactly like an owl.
Yes,
So
it
I'm
does.
marking the halfway points here and even drawing in the grid, although you wouldn't have to. You could just mark all the points, but I think we can cover up most of our stuff with pastel. Let's see, this is basically 3. I'm about to go paint a mural on a public building, so I'm trying to also preserve my voice a little bit because I have a feeling people are going to want to talk to me. So I'll be outside.
We can ask
Yeah.
you. We can
More
ask you
people
questions.
together to accept you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like y'all need to hear me yammering all the time. Probably it's exhausting. Let's see here. I'm still kind of playing around with what's the best. There we go. Yeah, there we go. I like this. 1, 2. I like these early. Setting up the measurements to me feels good. It's like pouring out your morning coffee. It's a task that's very like, mathematically logical and doable. And it gets us kind of ready. I don't know if you can see this. I'm using this kind of yellow color. Maybe I'll mark it with red. There we go. And then here. Okay. So that when I start to do my first sketch, I kind of know. Not visible. I'm going to start with white. I think that you guys will be able to see. Don't get too caught up in ear shapes. That can be one of those. It's easy to get that too big. Probably should have drawn a sketch around it, but. I can see here's my quarter point. The body kind of comes far away here. Come in almost here.
Sorry.
I saw you got out on the water, Sandra. Hope she's off. All right, I think. Be aware that the size of the head, if you look at it, if you were to line it up, where this, the head stops here on this side and this side, it comes this close to the left of the quarter point. It's easy to want to make this head too big. I'm just using white because I think you guys can see it better. You do not need to use, oh, and I think this needs to come down a little bit more. So you'll get to see all my mistakes today. This is good. I think it's really good whenever you can see this happening, because you can see how standard mistakes are and how much it's part of the process. He's cute, this little guy. So when you think you've got it here,
Oh, shit. Sorry.
send it over.
No, no, no. I'll send it over eventually. First, I'm gonna make a few more mistakes.
10,000
have to give Leah something to do.
mastery. There we go. Okay, hang on. I want to grab it. Where are you? There we are. All right, let me take a look, Jean. Jean says her rabbit. Okay, number one, black. What are you using? Sharpie marker there?
No,
Charcoal?
no, I'm using a dark brown.
It looks a little too dark for me. Use something lighter. Use something lighter, and you don't have the eyes quite in the right place, and like here, so use something a little lighter, Jean, so that you don't have so much trouble covering it up.
Okay,
See my point? Like this is
Mhm.
always what we do with pastels. Start with a lighter guy. Also, ears kind of way too crazy and big. Let's see. Also, you've kind of got him, you've done. This is really almost like a angle line, like this. It's not really so much a curve. It's an angle. I'm talking about this right here.
yeah.
Hold that in. And you're curving things too much before they're really ready to be curved. There's really almost no curves yet. We'll add them in later. Also, hold on, I want to look at this, make sure. Let me look at this pieces. I'm just checking your measurements on this. And yeah, do you know what? Actually scrub him out. Scrub out the dark lines with a toothbrush, because they'll be distracting right now. Let's see. I'm just double checking proportions and. Oh yeah, he's too thick on this side. Well, wait. Yep, he's a little too, well, maybe he's okay. I can't quite see where your halfway point, your quarter points are. I think he's a little bit too close to this halfway mark here. So you might want to thin him out on this side. The other side looks good. The bottom looks good. All right, great. Good job. Let's see, Marcy.
I think something's a little off because if I put the eye above the quarter point, it would be too low, I think.
And I'm looking for your quarter one, two.
Yellow.
I see them. Yeah, so I'm going to tell you the same thing as Jean here. I think your head is a little too high.
To what?
It's too high. You
Yeah.
put the head kind of up here and really needs to come down. It's over the quarter point, but not as far over.
Yep.
And also look at this line. It's not really curved. It's kind of an angle. And then also, Marcy, look at this. This comes down further than you've got it. This is also an angle line. So here are key angle lines. I'm going to draw them in blue so you really see them. Down here, right? This is angle lines that we're talking about.
Okay. Too shapy.
Not
All
really.
right.
I'm almost, and the reason I see that is because I'm breaking apart the curves into two straight lines that meet, so I can get that subtlety, because he's really leaning. So he's not going straight like you, and he's not curving, you know, the way Jean did it. Also, you did not get his, don't forget to include his, this is his little perch.
Yep.
And it pooches out there. Yeah, there we go. Good job. Who else has sent theirs over? Osiris, are you working with pencil? One, two, three. So Osiris, this is a little, the head needs to come up a little higher so that this line is longer. Right now, you've got this thing going. You've got like this happening. So really, the head needs to come up and higher so that this is a more sloped angle. Otherwise, that looks pretty good. Good job, you guys. Anybody else want me to take a look? Bettina, do you have yours in?
I'm almost there.
Okay, no rush. I will start moving everybody to the next phase because I think that's now where we're at. Let's see here, what's the easiest? Guess I'll do red. Before you sketch in eyes and face shape, I want you to get this round shape of that sort of the face. It's like the skull structure, really. And then I'm going to sort of show you where the major light and dark shapes are. So before you get in, and I'm going to turn off the picture for a second while I photograph this and send it over so you can see it better. There we go. So once again, I'm going to use these, and this may help you sort of adjust your shapes as you go in. I'm going to go in. So one of the things I find is I have to bring my head up just a little higher. So there we go. And I find that when I start to add this little circle, because I know there's got to be enough room for the eye and then some room on top of the eye. And I could see that my original drawing didn't really allow that. This isn't the beak, it's the kind of base around the beak. There we go. Yep. It's like we're mapping, like we're going on a sea cruise or something. Right? We have to map our course before we start laying in details. But that's what, of course, what everybody wants to do. But I can see here, this needs to come out a little bit more. So this is how that adjusting starts to take place. As you add in the lights and the darks, then you realize, and usually the tweaks are like, I don't know, so minuscule. Oops, I went down too far. This part is really up higher than the quarter point. I also really love these lines because I feel like you see the outline of your creature, of your beautiful owl. Sandra, by the way, I think this would be a good one for watercolor if you wanted to do it.
You know, it looks hard. There's a lot of, it's very mottled, and so is the background.
Yeah.
So I figured I would continue my bird pastels,
Yes,
which I had
yes,
kind of given up
absolutely.
on.
I was just saying, if you wanted to, you could, but I totally hear you on that. I think this is an easier thing to handle in pastels than it is in watercolor. By the way, you can also add in the leaves, make a really neat pattern on this side. I'm not really going to get us into the background yet. I'm going to bring this out a little bit too, because I feel like his face should come out a little farther. I'm doing a lot of adjusting on this one. So if you are too, don't worry about it. That is as it should be. Okay, let's see. Jean said her bunny was the hit at the Christmas party. Does anybody
Easter. Easter party, not Christmas.
or Easter party, you know?
Oh, that's
Oh, so not bad, Bettina. I see what you're doing there. Good job. Looks good to me.
Oh, I'm doing something?
You're not trying to get the ears in. You're kind of
Oh.
doing the outer shape. I like it.
Oh,
You're
okay,
not
good.
getting
Yes,
too
that is
detailed
true.
yet. Be careful. Your chest is coming out a little too far. You've got it kind of coming out here, which doesn't feel like a lot, but will make a difference. It's
Oh, I
really,
see it reaches the quarter point. Yeah.
you don't want it to. It's, but you know, look at that. It's like blink, and then all of a sudden there you are. It's very easy. And that can make a massive difference, right? It's going to make him too thick up here.
Yep. Yep.
Initial sketch.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're gonna send this one you just did over to?
You want to look at this, mine?
Yeah, can you send a picture of that? I just want
Sure.
to look at those little shapes you drew.
Sure, sure. If it's very thick, it's because I made a correction. I'm going to turn this off for just a second. Absolutely. It does look kind of cool. The white against the white against this funky, weird background. Here. I think that's why I like this process. There's kind of, and these materials, there's satisfaction all along the way, you know, like it's kind of satisfying when you're in the awkward stage. It's kind of satisfying to have.
Lee, I sent you another,
Let's see. Take a look.
it was funny talking about the bunny being a hit at parties. I sent it to my family. We have a little WhatsApp link on Easter. And my sister, who's 8 years older than me, wrote back and said, "Oh yeah, those are Dutch bunnies. We used to have those when we were kids."
Oh,
She knew exactly what
you
it
didn't
was.
remember?
Yeah, and I had a great fondness for the bunny, the bun as we call it. But once she said that, it kind of came back to me. It was cute.
Fabulous.
that's very cool.
Marcy, this looks great. So that's like super success. When somebody not only knows exactly what it is, but also
the
what
breed.
type it is, then
Yeah.
you've just done your job. So this looks great. Take the eyes out. You're not really ready to put them in yet.
Okay, but the head shape is okay?
Yeah, everything else looks great.
Perfect.
Everything else looks great. I kind of see why you put them in there, but until you get this face shape, you can't really place the
Yeah,
eyes.
okay. Got it.
Mhm. Lovely. Did anybody else get bunny love?
Oh, I also made a print of it at work. And one of my coworkers fell in love with it. And she said, is that paint? Is that paint? And I said, well, it's pastel. And she said, oh, I used to love doing pastels. So she now has all your information and you may get a new student.
You're my best ambassador. You're my best salesperson. Jean. You're my best salesperson. Absolutely.
And she was like,
Notice that a
she's like,
lot
I'm
of
so inspired.
that's really wonderful. And also it shows you that your bunny would make a good print. If you wanted to turn it into a print and sell it, you could probably make some money. Let's see, Jean. All right. So Jean, I want you to take the no. I want you to take these no. Sketch the way I've got this sketch. Trust me, you're not going to be able to get the eyes right until you get the shape in here. You haven't got these shapes yet. You need to get all these shapes. Take the eyes out. It's just going to confuse you. Do you see why?
Mhm.
You're not going to put them in the right place. You're going to make them too big. You're going to make the focus. You change the whole shape of the head just so that you can fit those eyes in. So pull back, pull on the reins, get your basics in place. I know you're impatient with drawing, but you have to be able to get this right before you can get to the fun details. There has to be the case. If you can see here with this line that I drew, I had to extend out his face a little bit, right? Because I need to have room for the eye and for a little bit of space to the left of the eye, and then like space beyond that. So those are the things you've got to get first before you try to place eyes. Eyes and beaks and noses on animals are hard to get right. They don't do what you expect them to. Foreshortening is in play. So presume you don't know where everything is supposed to go. Presume it's different than you think it is, and hold off until you've blocked in the lights and the darks. Also, you can see that Jean is doing a kind of a dark light block, which is totally okay with pastels. It's a little different than what I'm doing, but it works. As long as you can layer your darks and lights on top of both. By the way, good job, everybody. Doing good. This is such hard work. It requires such focus. I've had a couple students this week who, like, towards the end of class, were so tired, their measurements totally went off. You know, they were measuring and I'm like, well, I know why. Because it's tiring and exhausting to measure. This is why we kind of resist it and don't want to do it. Oh, I think I brought this down too low. Here, I'm gonna bring this up. I'll muck that up a bunch of times. Here we go. But it's important, right? And it requires concentration. And if you're tired or stressed or worried, sometimes it's harder to get into that space, which is okay. It's just good to acknowledge about yourself, right? To go easy. If I want to take the Starbucks example again, I can tell you that, like, yes, I know how to make drinks, but if I don't go in with my game face and my game brain on, it's a disaster. It's still a disaster. It requires like a kind of concentrated focus. And sometimes you have it better and sometimes you have it less. Sometimes you have it and sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's harder to get to. So all of that is okay. I don't know if I can get you to pop up here. Come on, buddy. Come on. Come on. Come on. Jump up. Jump up. You gonna jump up so I can show you to the people? If I can show you to the people.
Which one is it?
The stray. This is what I want to
Oh,
say.
wow.
He has been jumping up on my lap lately. He's not. Here he is. I don't know if he'll stay.
Hello.
Hey,
Oh,
Hi, sweetheart.
He's purring right now.
Oh. Oh, he loves
He
you.
loves having a human.
He's like, I wish you could hear it. He's like, oh, purring and purring.
Oh, look at that face. I love the little white under his eyes.
Isn't he the funniest little goofball?
Yeah, he's adorable.
Yeah, he's really cute. He stays outside either in the studio or he stays outside at night if I can't bring him in. And
Why don't you entice him in when you feed him in the evening?
I do. It's just sometimes he, it's like I just sometimes he's in and out until a certain time. And then I go and check on him a couple times, but just sometimes he's not out when I'm there. He seems to be okay, but most of the time I get him in. But regardless, if I get up usually around 5:30 and he's waiting, like, where
wow.
are you? Oh my God, I got up at 6 today. He was like, what the fuck?
where have you been, you?
I've
Where
been
have you
waiting
all
for
my
him.
life? All right, let's
Have
see.
you been, you man?
Yes, human. Where are you, human? But he's getting very affectionate. Still not with my boyfriend. I think he's got an issue with boys.
But it's also you.
But he
who
also
spends-
spends the whole day with you
Yeah.
painting.
He also really does spend better. Good, Jean. Good, better. Good. Yeah, there you go. Now we're getting to it. I know it's hard. And I know it's like you want to jump in there and get those beautiful eyes. You want those beautiful eyes.
Everybody's inside, so I'm gonna close the door.
Good job. Good restraint. Sandra got out on the river. I see.
Yes, it was more exhausting than I expected.
That's good though. It means it's good workout, right?
Yes, well, because I've been walking, so it's the other part of the body.
Right. So it's just like kind of adjusting to this. Good. It means you're giving yourself a good workout when you get into doing it.
Yeah, I'm going back tomorrow. By the way, I'll miss Lado's class
Oh.
because most friends all need to go at the weekend. I
I
can
get it.
go.
It's okay. Lotto's always here. So am I. So this is all designed so you can live so that this is available for you to live a rich and varied life.
Healthy life, a long,
Right?
healthy
A
life,
healthy
hopefully.
life. So you should, I always encourage you to go outside. I can
Thank
see
you.
you come in just glowing with happiness.
Yeah, I need it. And I'm a long way still. I'm a long way. I can see I'm not fit.
Mhm. It's just a constant thing. It's a discipline.
Takes a while to get back
Yeah.
from solo.
Right. Once I get this, by the way, now I can come in, catch the eye in. It's really way smaller than one thinks. And there's an eye space. Yep, I made it too big here. Maybe I actually need to bring out my red here probably a little bit. It's a little less than one eye space between them. But there is space between them. Yeah, the key really here is recognizing the features in relation to all the things that are happening kind of around them. At this point, because my white is kind of distracting and it's not correct, I'm going in with a different color. The beak has a light and a dark part. I'm debating, is there anything else? I don't think there's anything else I really need to sketch in before we start dealing with the color. Huh. Even so, I can feel the tendency to want to scoot these eyes too close together and make them too big. So your big challenge is going to be really being aware of what's going around the features to make sure you get this right, this right. Paying attention to these negative spaces. And if you guys are finished with that, we can start looking at the colors. So now we're going to need to do a little bit of testing. Let's see, what am I going to test on?
Yeah, the cats love your new voice. They're all there sitting around me.
It's great,
So
isn't it? I love it. That's exactly what we all need to be creating more of, right? I could certainly use it to be a little bit more zen, so it's good. I know I like it too. So I'm testing, I've got this kind of burnt sienna-y color, which I think might work really well for going cooler, lighter, which it does. I'm laying whites on top and darker. Let's see, need something dark. Lay on top of it. Yeah. So I think this burnt sienna, this kind of, and you may or may not have those colors. I'm kind of lightly I like this color because I feel like it's the undercolor. There's bits of this color feather everywhere. So I'm kind of bringing in a little bit of this color. I know, Sandra, that there's a guy who comes to the Tuesday watercolor class named Paul, who's got a little dog named Coco. And Paul's been coming to class like you for a couple of years. And Coco definitely knows when we're on. She recognizes voices.
And she likes it.
Yeah, she likes it. She gravitates to it.
Yeah, I mean, I've got all three around me.
Oh, that's
very laid back, listening, or not.
Not
talking.
laid back.
Well, let's not get too hasty. And then here's where our mistakes come. When you've got like a light area with little dark specks, the tendency is to want to go light. Here, I'll do it. Light. Well, actually, I'll do it right here. The tendency is to want to go light and then to sprinkle in your darks. But that doesn't look right, right? And the reason is that the darks are kind of, wherever a light and a dark edge meet, there's a lot of, the eye gets drawn there. So if you have these dark areas sort of poking out, it's too eye-catching, it's too sharp, it's too harsh. So it's better to start with a darker background and then kind of layer in. See how if I layer in my lights, I'm using kind of the side of the pastel. I might work this more, but right now, I'm not fully covering it. I'm letting some of those darks come in on the base. And look at how much more contiguous that looks. doesn't mean I'm not going to, change it up or, cover it more highly, but see how that has a more kind of natural, sorry about that, natural feel to it. I'm kind of taking my white in here. Once again, sort of working around the eyes. Rather than trying to draw the eyes. There's a little bit of a gray here, so you can look for gray, or you can maybe try and mix a little bit of black and white in. Here's a kind of grayish black. So I'm laying it in on the base and then laying white on top. And this is all going on top of that brown. And then see, I'm kind of blending it with my finger. Maybe a little bit more white. So the main thing I want you to get here is that light really, dark precedes light. Things look more natural if the lights come out of the dark rather than the other direction, the other way, which is unfortunately, our instincts. I'm feeling like I have these darks which kind of touch the top of the eye, to the eyes. That's going to help me kind of get the eyes when we get there. On this side, it's a little darker and also a touch bluer. Shadows often are blue, so I'm going to mix in a little bit of blue on this side. I'm using this kind of grayish color. I'm using my black a little bit more heavily. Still getting blended in, it's still going to get white. But it's going to read a little darker. And I'm adding a little bit of blue on top of that too, because the shadow is a little bit cooler. So I'm not really too stressed about all the different feather, right? I'm more paying attention to getting my darks and my lights in line. Laid out there kind of simply. Notice that on the dark side, the lights are going to be about a 2 value. And on the light side, the equivalent lights will be like a 1. So you're gonna, and you can darken your lights by adding a little blue and black first underneath, or blue and brown, or you know what I mean, something like that. I don't know, I kind of, in my darkest areas, I'm gonna go in and add blue. Where am I? In my darkest areas, I'm going to add in kind of blue in the base, just so I know it's really indicating my darkest areas in the shadow. Also, when I mix browns on top, it'll have a nice neutralized kind of grayish color, which is really darkish brownish grayish, which is really what's happening here. And if I want to, I can start laying in some of these kind of rosy oranges, you know, in the background as well. Just to help me, this is kind of a maroony brick color, which I'm gonna lay down before I start putting in, you know, these little oranges. And actually, really, there's little bits of green there too. And like I said, you don't have to do what's here in the background. You can do what you want to, but I just thought actually one of the things that's prettiest about this is the background. All right, let's see, Jean. Where you at? Oh, it's Bettina. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, Bettina, that looks pretty good. Yep, you're in good shape.
Okay, so I start on the color now.
Yep. Yep, and you're gonna want to layer some lights, maybe a brown and then a white. Start by layering in your lights so they begin to pop out a little bit more.
So,
Lights.
but you put the brown over everything first and then
Yeah,
I put my white in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want you to, yours is very dark. Yours is much darker than mine is, your background. So I'm a little worried you're gonna lose. So yeah, get your brown and your lights in. I don't want you to lose your drawings, so.
All right, I'll figure it out.
Yeah. But yeah, lay a brown down, test the brown, see how it looks, lay lights down on top of it. Sort of the secret of all of this is that you're kind of dealing with pieces, the lights and dark pieces. So it becomes much less stressful to deal with, becomes much less stressful to deal with the, oh my gosh, did I make my head too big? I might have. No, it's all right. It becomes much less stressful to deal with each individual feather because you're really just paying attention to kind of transitions. And the key is if you see a light area, there is always a dark area next to it, pushing it forward. So as you identify the light areas, look at what's happening around them. See how I'm like pushing the face a little bit by darkening underneath the head, which is lighter. There's always darker areas. I'm kind of bringing in little bits of dark. So this light side has this kind of burnt sienna-y color and then white on top. and then a little bit of dark gray with white here. And then on the dark side, I've got the same colors, brown, the burnt sienna, and then I added blue, and then dark, sort of a darkish gray, not black, but it's kind of like a dark gray, kind of everywhere that it's really dark. Now, when I come in and start adding, I'll get it in here too. Now, when I come in and start adding lights, they have a slightly more contiguous, and they're also just blending with those darker colors and being a little darker. So where I'm really putting my attention is where a lighter area meets a darker area. So here, which is why I spent so much time trying to, like, you know, pull them out, these lighter and darker areas. And you see how my light, as I blend it in, kind of looks a little bit grayer than my light over here. I want that to be the case. Want my light to be a little bit lighter. I'm often using the edge of my pastel. That also creates these kind of nice patterns. See how I'm coming sort of where here and here meet? So I'm not really getting every feather, but I'm starting to pay attention to transitions. And then he's got these little sprinkles of light, but they're kind of, the feathers get a little longer here, but they're also a little bit darker. And bluer. So the light's really just kind of sprinkled out. And then it gets definitely darker here. I believe you guys have this on the thread already. So I'm kind of focusing on what does the edges look like between here and here, between over here and here. Notice as we go further down the bird, things tend to get darker. See, I'm just kind of going around and working edges where dark areas meet light areas. All of a sudden, it looks like I've done a lot more work in detail than I really have. I'm going to blend in a little bit of blue in here, even though this is lighter, because this kind of orangey color is shadowed more. So I'm mixing that pretty thoroughly. And then I might add a slightly lighter color on top. There we go. I'm gonna stop now. I know I'm going too fast, so. And feel free, guys. I've gone through a lot of color combinations and technique, so fast. So as usual, too fast. So don't hesitate to say, what was that color that you did when, you know. Notice I haven't done the eyes yet. You're probably going to be one of the last things that I do. And I don't know how many of you have these really sharp Prismacolor or Conti or even a charcoal pencil, but it might be that a charcoal pencil, something that you have more control over, if you've got it, will be a good way to deal with the eyes, at least getting the outlines in. If not, you're going to want to use a kind of hard-edged pastel, not one of the softer ones. Like this is not what you want to use. The lines are too thick. I can't get too thin with them, but this one is thinner, a little bit more controlled, a little bit harder. All of these pastels are called soft pastels, but some, as anybody who has used pastels for a while will know, some soft pastels are harder and some are softer. And there are actually also pastel pencils, which help you kind of gain a little bit more control, right? So as you get more detailed, pastel is definitely you end up getting a lot of gear. I feel like I extended out my head a little bit too far, so I'm going in with this kind of funky color, sort of rusty color, and now an orange on top. Yeah, it's pretty. So I can reshape the head. See how sometimes you'll lose the edges of things because you've gotten dark and then your background is too dark and it's hard to see. So we're always it's easy to drift off course. That's why I'm like, don't do the eyes yet. You don't know where they are. It's real easy. Just a little tiny, like Marcy, what you found here, right? Bettina, when you like kind of just drifted just a little bit far here, that can make a massive difference. And it's easy to do it. We do it all the time. I've done it 6 times in this drawing already, actually 6 or 7 times significantly, and had to kind of pull it back. So oh, look at the cats. They are so cute, Sandra.
Ah.
They're just sitting there. Here, look.
And the little guy is on the floor grooming himself.
They're just,
well, not on the floor. He's got a special platform he likes to sit on.
look at, they're just sitting there. Oh. They don't even want to go outside?
Well, occasionally they see a bird and chatter. But otherwise they're just, the door was open and I realized they were all in, so I closed the door. So the flies don't come in.
Right. Aw. Bitty
Be
boys.
very quick.
Well, Marcy, tell Nancy we miss her and we hope she's feeling better soon.
This will be her second class she's missed. So although she did work more on her landscape. So
Yeah, she's work. You guys have the bug. I don't worry. If you can't make it to class, I can see that everybody. Julia also has had sometimes struggles on the weekend, and I saw you did some beautiful work, Julia. Stunning landscape work. I definitely want you guys to get to a point. Yeah, you're at the point now where you can do stuff on your own. That's the whole idea. Class just gives you a process. Look at my little guy is looking. You know, he's. Still feel like I've made his head too wide. Nip it in a little bit. And you can see I've gotten to this point here where I've laid down enough pastel. My lights aren't looking so white anymore. I'm correcting a lot. It's okay for the moment, but if it gets really bad, I can always take my toothbrush, scrub out some of the extra, and then let my whites go on a little brighter. Toothbrush. There it is, you know, so I can scrub off some of that. You can see all the dust, right? And then my white should go on. Yeah, there we go. A little brighter. I'm also kind of lightening, adding another little bit of light here. There's some really pretty down here. If you look at the picture closely, you'll see there's some beautiful feather textures. Lights and darks. So I'm adding a few of those in, not too many, but oh, very elegant. I have to do too much. I'm kind of stabilizing my. And as well, I'm gonna do this. This is kind of blending with brown on the feet, a little bit lighter. And then a touch of blue, blending it in. And then I can go over the whole thing with white. So down here, my bird's feet will look more grayish, and then I can lay the white on top for where the light's hitting. I can see that because the feet are very white and prominent, that definitely means Oops, nope, that's not the color I want to use here. Something like this. That's because the stick that he's sitting on is very dark. So I'm going in and adding that now. I'm starting with a kind of burnt umber and then mixing some blue on top. Blending them together. So this is what I mean about you're kind of going around all the time. Looking at where the dark and the light areas meet. And darkening around the light areas so that, you know, you can see them. If you're doing this right, you will kind of forget what it is you'll be so focused on the shapes, you'll forget what it is you're drawing. And that's good. You'll be so focused on the light and dark shapes. You won't even be aware of what you're drawing. It's nice. One of those.
I think I have my basic layout now, and I'm gonna start filling out the tree. I'm gonna
Good. I need your input as well. Ian. I'm going to send you where I'm at.
Okay, send them all over.
I'm making it worse and worse.
What's up?
Sometimes it feels that way before you get better.
I cannot. I'm trying to make it darker, and it's just the color is not right.
All right, let's take a look. Send them all over.
I've made it too blue.
Great moment for stopping.
Today is Saturday.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just sent mine over. Oh,
Yeah.
look at that. Sandra.
Oh, that's looking great, Diana. Fabulous. Yeah, the color's too green. So what color did you use? Phthalo blue?
Oh, I'm using all sorts of blue because there is like a bluish tinge to it. I don't know. I need to dampen it down with some gray, perhaps, or
Yes, I think that's a good idea. Dampen it down with
purple.
some gray. And to me, the blues that I see look a little bit like cobalt.
You know, I cannot tell the colors because they're pastel, so it doesn't say the color.
Yeah, so they look kind of cooler, but these are too turquoisey is all. So yeah, but that's fabulous. It's looking great. But I see what you mean.
Yeah, and I like that that's to the left is the picture, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So your shape is a little bit too wide.
But part of the reason it's too wide is because I'm not getting the 3D effect because of it. The dark is not dark enough.
Yeah. But
I have measured it. It's just,
but
I'm not getting 3D. I'm not getting the dark parts which shape the head. They're
Okay.
not dark enough.
So maybe, Sandra, the best thing to do is to go in with the background. And
I was trying to leave it until the end because the way I work, it's going to get everywhere.
And that orangey color, the burnt sienna orangey color in the photo is pretty nice, actually. Try to get a little bit out in where you have yellow.
burnt sienna.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's looking.
I don't have colors like that, but I've just made it more orange, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's very nice, but I
They're
think
not really.
he is a little bit too wide.
No, but he's not wide. I've measured him exactly. The problem is,
Yeah, I
as I
don't think
said,
he's too
the dark
wide.
is not dark enough, so you cannot see
Oh,
the 3D
okay,
effect.
all right,
I
all
don't
right.
think he's too wide, Diana. I actually think he's fine that way. I see what you mean, a little bit over the top where the eye is.
Are you talking about the neck, Diana?
Yeah,
I
Actually, the
don't
neck
think,
is
it-
too
I
wide.
don't think it
no,
looks too wide there.
it's
Oh, no, it's
probably
not.
fine.
Yeah, it's not.
It just feels like the
Because
curve goes in more, but you might not have as much. The curve goes in at the bottom on
A
the.
teeny bit, a
Yeah,
little bit.
mine goes into. I mean, it's just dirty and just need to clean it up with.
All right, Jean, looking good. I want to make sure you're getting dark enough though, because I'm not feeling the darks.
I
Yeah,
did
it's a
dark
really-
and then I did light and now I'm putting the darker back in again.
It's looking great. It's looking good. You're in good shape. Nice layering. Good job. It's wonderful. It feels so counterintuitive, doesn't it? It feels like I should do the light first and then the darks afterwards. But that's never. I'm going in with my background a little bit. Just to really help shape my birdie. It's oranger in some places, kind of more maroon in others. Also, Sandra, just like when you're switching exercise routines, right? Going from walking to paddling. It's the same with the mediums, right?
Yeah, I'm having a hard time with it, like because
It's funny,
It-
isn't it? And here, this was your, it's
it
just.
used to
you
be
have to-
my medium that I felt most comfortable with, and now I'm very uncomfortable with.
That's beautiful. God, how fantastic. I mean,
Mm.
it means that you're growing and stretching, and not only you're uncomfortable because you've learned so much in the other mediums, you're now trying to bring them in, right, to what you do. So there's a
Kind
real,
of.
this
I'm
is
not
why,
sure.
this
I mean,
is
I
why
hope you're
art
right.
always feels like you're going backwards, but you're not. You have more information now about about technique, and other mediums affect your first medium. I knew that when I showed Marie how to do pastels, that it would absolutely change her oil painting, and it did. And there's a real, you will get a real synergy between them, but there's a real struggle before you get there.
Yeah, it feels like I can't remember how I did it.
It's okay. It's good. I guess my point is that's good. Means your neural pathways are expanding and you're getting a much wider ranged understanding. It means your learning means your learning is deepening.
Growing instead of what
Growing
it
instead
feels
of
like, which
shrinking.
is shrinking.
Growing instead of shrinking. And the beauty is, you know it when you feel uncomfortable. That's like when you're like, oh my God, this is when it's happening. And for you, you really know it because you're like, wait a minute, what the hell? I'm comfortable with this. Why am I feeling uncomfortable now? Because I know so much more now.
Yeah,
Now
it didn't feel like
needing
that, but I
to
hope you're right.
practice and apply it across. So, but it's just like the working out the different modes. The first time you get into the canoe, it's going to feel a little bit, or the kayak, it's going to feel a little harder. But then you're gonna see the walking and the kayaking will start to work together after a while.
Yes, hopefully.
The-
You know,
oh,
I'm about
yeah.
to, I'm using my Sennelier set because I remember I had some good dogs and it's a very good set actually.
The Sennelier, you want to send
Yeah,
a picture to people so they can see it?
sure. I'll put the colors back.
What I'm really liking about this is my little bit of blue that was left over, which I'm using to kind of spell out my leaves and my branches here. I think that accidentally looks kind of cool.
Beautiful.
Like, which
Very
is why
nice.
it's fun to, like, you know, I wasn't going for this effect. It just kind of happened. And I think those are the kind of the neat things as you start to do this layering process. All these unexpected things happen.
So Leah, I sent mine and I'm just completely stuck.
Okay. Let me get over there. Okay, I am gonna suggest that you spray. Okay, so number one, get rid of these. I want you to scrub out these darks and the eyes right now because you're not quite ready to place them in.
All right.
Second thing I want you to do is spray your owl and then go over on top with your lights more comprehensively. Because right now your light side and your dark side look the same. Can you see that? So you need to get lighter, your lights need to get closer together. And I think they're kind of blending together too much. So scrub out with your finger, your blacks here, because those aren't, you're not ready for those yet on top of the ear. Spray it. And then you're gonna lay on top, stuff on top. And the other thing, and then while you're waiting for the bird to dry, Bettina, start layering in background colors that are oranger. Start laying in your background around to help edge out your owl. Those are the
Okay.
things I would do next. That's okay. This is complicated. Oh yeah, that is a good set. I have that set too.
Yeah, I got a good deal on it and it's one of my first sets. But they're high quality. And it's nice getting half sets because you get so many more colors.
Right. Right. You know, Bettina, I think when you're doing all the technique exactly right, as I'm saying it, I think you're just a little shy about putting pastel down. And I think that's where you're having trouble, right? You're sort of sprinkling it. So you did your darks first and you're sprinkling in your lights over. I think you kind of need to get a little bit more heavy-handed to push in these lights and darks. So where you're definitely following technique, and for that I'm like, bravo. But you know, you can push a little harder with this stuff.
Okay.
Use right, like, because I need to see a real significant difference. As you can see here, right?
Yeah.
The dark are very significantly different. So I want my lights to do that, have that same kind of thing going. Anyway, it's easy to lose. It's easy to lose it. It's easy when you're being tentative, which I understand as you're learning something new. Here's my white. Right? See how I'm pushing that light side?
Yeah.
even though there's light on both sides, it's lighter. So I'm just continuing to push the lights a little bit more. And then, let's see, what time is it? Oh, good, we have half an hour. I do feel at this point that I'm able to start sketching the eyes in. So I'm using a charcoal pencil. Get that outer shape, and that's because there's this beautiful, there we go, dark, and I might even use it a little bit on the,
What's that?
You said that, I'm up there cleaning the bathroom. Good.
so you see how I was able to, with my charcoal pencil, kind of get that deep level of detail. And I even went around the light and the dark shapes of the beak. And now I can get those beautiful oranges. There's kind of this stunning, I'm starting with burnt sienna. And then on the light side, there's a little bit of a dot. And now I can start working over, there's lights around. I started to see you do this a little bit, Jean, in your construction without, like, you know what I mean, getting too crazy. But I would definitely recommend, if you've got a charcoal pencil or a hard edge, this is really the moment to use it. Make sure there's enough room. Make sure you're really paying attention to the space between the eyes, where the eyes are in relation to the beak, what's on the right and the left of the eye, right? How much space is there? There's a lot of things to pay attention to. I can see this little hard edge.
When you get to the point that have that face down, can you do a zoom in on that for us?
Absolutely.
And
Let me
pick-
send it do you want me to send it over to you?
That'd be awesome.
Okay. And I also notice the eye is a little, so I've used burnt sienna over the iris. And then on the light side, I'm using like almost a yellow. On the lighter eye, the eye on the light side, it's kind of a little bit lighter towards the base. Here it's a little darker. Wait. Yes, let me take a picture of that. Or maybe, let me take a picture of it. I think it's easier to show you in picture form. I'm going to turn this off for a second. Oh yeah, this is a good idea. And if you don't finish this, we can spend a little time working on it next week before we move on to our next subject. So if you don't, don't stress out about it. This is, complex. So there we go.
And then, okay. So Leah, in terms of the chest or the breast of the bird, You didn't put the black down at all yet, so don't start.
No, not really. I'm really trying to push the light dark here.
Okay,
So the black is going to be the last thing that goes in.
okay.
Good observation, Marcy. Absolute brilliant observation. That's absolutely true.
I'm good.
I
After-
hate to
okay.
tell you guys that, but that's true. And I wonder if I can bring this in just a little bit closer. Also, there's kind of a funny thing happening. His little branch, his little perch that he's sitting on has this funky, right up here. This is higher. I think this must be going out a little bit lower, but much of the tail is obscuring it, so you can't really. So there's like this piece down here and then this piece up here. Let me just go get a little bit more tea. Not exactly sure how the weather is going to turn out today. It feels a little cold, but I'm going to go out and paint a fern, a mural outside the business, the store where I have my showroom, because somebody smashed the window, and so we have
No.
plaques up. Somebody has smashed the window in every single business in this neighborhood. Some had their windows smashed 6 times.
My God.
We've only had our window smashed once. We would have had it smashed. What?
What's the point of that?
In your home? It's just
I mean,
vandalism.
for kids, I mean, whoever's doing it.
Well, it's some of it is crazy. It's a lot of homeless people. Some of them are crazy and having mental episodes. Others are the one that got broken into the store that got broken into 6 times. It sells outdoor gear, expensive. So there's a great resale value to that, right? But in my shop, which really sells pretty dresses and like, there's not that much resale value, art, not something that you can sell, you know, that somebody who's stealing stuff will want to sell. So in our situation, it's almost always somebody crazy. In fact, one of the shop employees managed to stop somebody from smashing our windows. He was really crazy. He's a crazy guy who has an episode, and she just happened to know him well enough. He had smashed a big planter in front of our store and had picked up a shard of it and was going towards the window.
Oh, God.
And Kim saw him and very calmly said, "Oh, hey, thank you. Yeah, thank you. You're okay. Thank you. She completely if you start yelling at this particular guy, he just gets
Angry.
more crazy. But because she spoke very gently to him, he just put the shard down and walked away. So it's stuff like that.
Wow.
I mean, it's stuff like that. But anyway, I'm going to put a fern on it. It's going to look great.
Because they have to leave it like that for a while because it's going to get broken again.
Yeah. I don't know. Yes, indeed.
It's an opportunity for art.
It's an opportunity
Exactly.
for our, and there's a big sort of business booster festival happening now. So hopefully there'll be a lot about, it's all about optics.
Well,
There should be a lot of people out there watching. Sorry. We're back. Yeah, I definitely think we'll work on these again unless you all end up finishing these on your own. I really don't mind spending another week on these. We've got about 20 minutes left. Well, let's just see how we get. Let's see. And Jean's cooking with gas, so maybe we'll all be finished. Or maybe I can just leave you all to finish it at the top of the hour. Anyway, we'll make a decision. Yeah, Jean, coming along nicely. So Jean, he's too light here. There's way too much light here. So I want you to take your, oh, there you go, Bettina. Very nice. That helps, doesn't it?
It does, but I don't know what to do next.
Okay, relax, relax, breathe. Don't panic. So you brought in background where there isn't any. Oh, nice job, Marcy. Good layering. Just keep on going. So there's a few things that you can do next. Jean, you're gonna need to darken much more over here. You have way too much white over here. So I would take your toothbrush and scrub out your whites and layer darks in everywhere. There's only really 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like little lights that are here. So let's see, Bettina. All right, so now Bettina, you need to go around. Take your finger and blend in a little bit, the lights. And
Okay,
now I want you to look at the edges here. So what you're really going to be paying attention to are the edges of where a light area meets a dark area. And so you're going to want to kind of look at what's happening at those places. Some have hard edges, some have soft, right? And you're going to be kind of maybe strengthening and darkening here. Maybe making this a little bit more ragged, right? You're going to be looking at where here meets here and seeing what's happening after you take your finger and kind of blend this in a little bit. Then the second thing you're going to do is, this is not background. This is a stick. So you want to maybe take your toothbrush, scrub out the red that you've got in here, and look more closely at this area. I'll send over a close-up so you can see it. It's really like, this is foot. This
yeah, I
is,
get it. I see that. Yeah,
let me
okay.
send a picture over, but you're doing great. You're doing really great. Yeah, we're going to spend another week on this because I think there's a lot to be learned about edges here. So don't worry. I'm going to turn this off for a second. I'm going to take a picture down here. Let's see, give me a second. So now that once you, yeah, these are good, Marcy, it's good layering.
Thanks.
You're going to be doing, I'm going to have you doing the same thing, Marcy, looking at what's happening where a light meets it. Well, I'm pointing and you can't see here. Hold on. Let me send this picture over and then I'll, one thing at a time. What I find funny about art is that everybody wants to do detail first, but when you really slow people down, right? When you really slow people down, then you're like, okay, it's time to do detail. Nobody wants to do detail anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's actually the correct light point to do detail. And before we're just like kind of think we can wing it. You're kind of faking it, like, oh, these, look, here we go. Little feathers everywhere. I could just sprinkle these everywhere. So Bettina, here's a little bit of what I mean. I'll demonstrate it. I can see here. Oh, that's blue. I don't want that. Wait, where's my gray? There we go. No, it's too much grayish. I can see here that like this is a pretty kind of hard edge here. And then as I come down, it's like there's a little shadow cast by this whole area. And up here, over here, I can see that the light kind of fades into the brown a little bit. I wanted to, I could also maybe add a few of these in. Got too light there. So really, I'm looking at where medium and light meet dark and kind of working with those edges.
Okay,
Same over here, right? Same up here. I'm like, oh, there's a little bit of white, particularly on this side. This side's a little bit lighter than this side. White over here. I'm like, there's this cute little ruff of white. It gets whiter over here, grayer over there. See how I'm kind of moving all around, really. Here I need to get in a little bit of, I need to kind of reshape with background. This is a little bit of a harder edge, but there's also some whites that come right up to the edge. So I'm adding in a dark edge. So I'm focusing. And Jean, you're kind of here too, right? This like, I'm just kind of working more detail and I'm adding a little bit of firmness. Here's a really important area. I'm not just randomly doing this. I'm kind of looking at what are my whites doing here. I can see that there's this kind of cute little line of feathers and sort of in between, it's a little bit darker. So, I'm like, so I'm trying to like create a little bit more contiguousness, a few more hard edges. Yeah, we're definitely going to work on this another session. This is being recorded, so for anybody who missed it, I'll make sure to direct people to that. Or they can just start at the beginning, it doesn't really matter. I can see that even here, I kind of made my dark too big. I'm gonna take my, I can see there's, let's see, it's mostly kind of white up at the top here. Little bits, and it's a little bit lighter over here. So see, I'm really like focusing on these edges. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. If I get tired of doing that, I can come down here and kind of work on this stick. This little branch that he's sitting on. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, just deal with one area at a time where you can see the transitions. Often just doing that is enough to kind of encourage you to move on and forward, if that makes any sense. Don't try and deal with the whole thing. Just tell yourself, I'm just dealing with this one area where I can see this dark meeting this light or this light. And usually it's the areas which are the darkest. Yeah, we're totally gonna need, even I'm gonna need another. So you might want to set aside the colors that you're using in a box. You can pull them out next week. I made my branch too big, so I'm up here. There's so many edges. Like a million edges here. So This is definitely a 2-week project. And Bettina, I want you to really have faith in your brain. Your brain is getting this. Even if you feel like, I don't know what I'm going to do next, your brain is getting this. I can see your brain is getting this more even than you're aware of. Like,
All right.
you're doing it. Have faith. You're doing it. You're doing it. Even if you're like, and actually that sort of block of, I don't know what to do next is just being reminded of the process. So that's my job, is to remind you of the process. Doing great. All of you are.
Are you complaining, Sonny?
He doesn't complain.
Isn't it time for breakfast, she's saying?
Yeah, that's probably what she is saying.
Or a walk, or
Or me time?
yes, or me time.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have, you're gonna hold
not
for a
too much
couple
of
more
that.
minutes,
huh?
and then I'm gonna remove the, spotlight. I want everybody to hold yourself up wherever you,
Are we doing that now or?
let's do it now. I'm gonna remove the spotlight. Go into gallery view if you haven't already. Just hold, oh, lovely, Marcy. Oh, man, Diana, that's so fucking cool.
Thank you.
Oh, you got, oh, nice, Sandra. You're recovered. Very nice.
Yes,
Very nice.
yes.
Beautiful, Julia. I love it. So yeah, you can totally, of course, work on whatever you want here. Christina, can you hold yours up so we can see them?
I don't know why I can't see my, my frame. I've
Oh,
got,
yeah,
We
I have
can
to
see
show
you.
my self view at first.
there we go. Oh, hey, he's looking great. Your contrast is brilliant. Everything's going really well. So I'm happy to let you guys work on if you want to. I do have to go. But does anybody want to hang around a little bit more? Keep
I
going.
have
Well,
to
I
make
mean,
breakfast. I have to make breakfast.
All righty.
Yeah.
Anyone
I gotta
else?
go.
All right then. All right. And fabulous work today. We'll pick this up next week. Great work, you guys. As
Bye.
usual,
Everybody,
Thanks, Leah.
rock
see you
stars.
tomorrow.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.